and today we're going to build a nightstand. Okay, so this is what we're replacing. See how rickety this thing is? Yoy! That drawer doesn't close. This is not good, right? So that's the project. Take this thing and make it better. Make a better version of it. Okay, just so we're on the same page here. We're not trying to like make fine furniture here. This isn't going into a gallery, right? All we're doing is saying like the furniture that you buy online or wherever, it's trash and it's annoying. It's so annoying. So this piece that we're working on today is just like, it's just a nightstand. That's it. It's gonna hold a lamp. You can put your tea on it. You can put your charging cable in the drawer. That's all. That's all we're doing. I just don't want anyone to think, oh, well, I don't have a table saw like that or whatever. It's like you can find different ways to do all of this joinery. So I'm gonna use some fancy tools for sure, but that's just because I'm trying to be fast. Fast is part of it, right? I mean, like I'm kind of getting to be an old man, so it's like I only have so many years to build stuff and I'm just trying to get the stuff knocked out. And so you're gonna see some tools, but you can look at different ways to do all this joinery. It's not a big deal, right? I've cut literally thousands of hand-cut mortise and tenon joints, right? Could you do? Absolutely, yes. There's a million ways you could do this. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that cheap furniture just is trash and it's a drag. And we can do it for just a little bit more money and materials, a little bit more time in what we're trying to do, a little bit of skill, absolutely, and that's it. So, ready? We're gonna dive right in. We're gonna make some end frames right now. Let's go. So I combed through my lumber rack and then pulled out about 8.5 board feet of maple. And so next thing I'll do is I'll start busting this down and then get to planing. All right, that's the first chunk planed. I set the drawer face away for now. I'll deal with that later. Right now, I just want to focus on the legs. So I have these 4 planks that are planed to about a 32nd of an inch proud of 3/4 of an inch. And the idea is you can see that I have that edge jointed on all of them. I'm going to rip these to about 1 5/8. And then the idea is I'm going to just laminate these together and then plane them down. The goal is at the end to have 4 legs that are 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So that's what we're going to do next. So there you go. That's going to be 4 legs. I matched these up. These are straighter grain, these two, and so I matched them up with the other. That's all from the same board. You saw how we started. But like these with a little bit of cathedral, I'm going to just put that stuff in the back. So I just kind of like swapped them around, matched them up. And the next thing is to laminate those, and then we'll have our 4 legs. And then I saved all these because this is going to be the banding that we need because we're doing some stuff that's out of plywood, just sheet goods. So we want that to look good too. And I'll use that for later. But so the next thing is just take these and start getting them laminated face to face. Lots of glue. Yeah, nothing fancy here. Just get a bunch of glue everywhere. That's all we're doing. This also works like a little side to side. Instead of start in the middle. Just way easier if you start in the middle and then you kind of pull out from there. Right here we go. And that's it. So just wipe down all that excess glue and you're good to go. Good to go. Right there. Look at that. Ah, so nice. Can't leave all that excess glue because that's just hard on all of your blades and everything. So whatever, just a quick little wipe down, just like that. Just like that. Right there, right there. And then what'll happen is tomorrow, clean up all these edges and make them just perfect. And then we'll have 4 legs. Heck yes, just like that. All right, so that is 4 legs all glued up. Now what I have to do is I'm just gonna clean up this edge, and then I'll just do plain all 4 sides. So I'm gonna take this planer over here and get them down to 1.5 inch squares. What I like to do is I like to do the end frames first. That's just how I like to build stuff. And so we're going to do those plywood panels that go between those legs that we just built. And we'll do that first. One of the things we want to keep in mind is when working with sheet goods, we just don't want to have like a bunch of chip out. I'll show you what I mean. So what we don't want is this splintering right here, right? There's a couple of different ways to do this, but for this case, the way we're going to do it is just raise a table saw blade. That's higher than I like, but in this case, to make sure we don't chip out those panels, we're going to keep it nice and high. It'll have a higher arc coming down onto the veneer that's on that, and it won't chip it out. Let's see what we got. And then boom, just like that. Look at that nice crisp edge. Everything looks good. Yeah, we're ready to roll on. We're using sheet goods for this, which is cool because it's stable and it's affordable, and I don't know, I think it's pretty. But the problem with it is that like that, those edges look bad, right? So you have to band them. Some people use like iron-on banding. I don't know, I haven't had much luck with that. So what I do is I just take like 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch, right? Just like that. And just mill some maple and I'll attach that. So I'll use a pin nailer so I don't have to hold up my clamps because I'm just trying to move this project along. I want to move fast, right? So instead of having to clamp it, I'll put some glue on, I'll hit it with the pin nailer and move on to the next step. The problem with cheap furniture is that it fails, right? And it fails for one very specific reason, which is racking. Racking is the horizontal movement and sort of the pressure that gets put on this thing, not this way, but this way, day to day, just by using the thing. Now you can see this thing, I don't have to worry, like look at this. This thing's not going anywhere. This thing's fine. But because I just want to be a little extra careful, I'm gonna do that last step. So I have 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And this thing has all these floating tenons, and that's why everything's locked in. But I'm gonna add this 4th point right across here. Now normally what I would do is I would have this extended, and I would just do a hand cut dovetail here down, and that just locks it in, and that takes care of everything. But I don't have to worry about that because first of all, the thing's already solid. Second of all, I'm using floating tenons everywhere. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut floating tenons into here, and that will give me my 4th point. So now we get to start having some fun, which is just like all the detailing. And the first thing I'm thinking about is this piece right here, which this is fine, this looks good. But if I put a curve right here, it's gonna like loosen the visible weight in this center part, and it's gonna make it more delicate. So I think we're gonna do that first. So the way I'll do that is I'm gonna use this little funky tool I made that is called a fairing stick, right? And I can just take this piece of hardwood and I can adjust it to make a curve, right? A little sliding thing right there, and all I have to do is line this up, and then I can strike this curve, and it's gonna be a perfectly smooth curve the whole way across. So you see what I'm saying? That detail really did actually kind of just lighten the way that looks, right? And so there's another detail I want to add, which is those legs. I could add a little taper to those legs, and I'm a little bit on the fence with it because, I don't know, it looks good as it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it out first, and we'll see. And if anything, we might add just a tiny little taper to those 2 front legs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this taper jig so you can see what this does is it secures that leg over at an angle that you can see right there. It's going to go straight down that line, and then I'll be able to just flip it. And I'm only doing the outside and the face of it, and that's it. So this, I built this, but I didn't design this. You can find a taper jig, but also, again, you don't have to even taper the legs if you don't want to. This is just like adding like one tiny little detail, that's all. Okay, so we came up about 4 inches, which puts us right about, not quite, but right about the center of that arch for the thinning of those parts of those front legs on both the front and the sides, and then we'll just sand that stuff out. It'll look fun. It's gonna look awesome. I'm going to assemble these 3 pieces. So there's 2 hardwood pieces to this shelf, the 2 legs to this end, and same thing on this end frame over here. And before that though, I'm going to do a first round of sanding, probably around 120 grit, smooth this out. And I'm also going to put roundovers on all the appropriate edges. When I say the appropriate edges, I mean that there's 3. So there'll be 1 on this back side, 1 on this front side, 1 on this top front side, but not here because I want to keep that nice and flush. And that's going to be on all of these pieces. Only have to do an 1/8 inch roundover on each of those. Then I'll glue those up. I'm not going to assemble those pieces yet because I still have some things that's going to be easier when it's not put together, but that'll get us to where we can start working on the drawer and then the top, and then we can go from there. From a construction standpoint, all I have to do now is build the drawer and build the top. Now, the original way I was going to do this top is I was also going to use sheet goods, and I was going to band them like we did everything else. But since I'm really liking how this is coming together, I went and I checked my lumber rack, and I have enough maple that I could do a solid maple top. So the top is going to be attached using these things called Z-clips. Okay? It's a little bracket, and the reason that I want to use this is because since it's going to be a solid wood top, I have to allow for seasonal wood movement. So I'm going to mill a little slot, 4 of them in each side down here, and then this piece will then get screwed up into the top, and that way there's still like a little bit of movement so that the top doesn't split as the humidity and things change over time. But I'm going to do this now because this is not all glued up yet. And so I can take these panels off and hit these slots, and then I can assemble the entire thing and then move on to the drawer and then onto the top. So that's all the joinery on the sides and front and back for the drawer. And you'll notice that the sides I have going longer, and that's because I have my joinery and I just use dominoes. But whatever you do, you have to understand that the force is going to be going front to back on this. So that's taken care of. Okay, so now I have this done. I have to put a bottom in here. What I'm going to do is I am going to put a groove on the inside, 1/4 inch up, the whole way around, and I'm going to cut a piece of 1/4 inch birch plywood to go in there. Now, I'm going to do this in a way that's really simple. I'm going to cut straight through this, on the insides, of course, not on the outsides. And I'll do the same thing here. So when I do that here, you're going to see that cut come through. And in the back, you're going to see that cut come through. But it doesn't matter because this is going to be covered with a false front. And in the back, it's going to be going up against that back board. And so it's going to be hidden. So I can do this really simply. I don't have to do any stop joints or anything like that. I can just set this up on a table saw, cut my grooves the whole way through, all 4 pieces, set it up once, and I'm good to go. With the drawer assembled and the cabinet now assembled, the next thing that I like to do is to get the drawer slides in place. We can get all those holes drilled now, so I don't have to do it after the piece is finished. So once I put the finish on, I can just screw the screws back in. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to use some commercial jigs to help align things, just to make my life easier. But there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can, put pieces of scrap wood in to hold your drawer slides level and that type of thing. But I'm going to use, so however you want to do it, you do it your way, but I'm just going to do stuff that I already paid for. And so there you go. We designed it, cut all the parts, built everything. We've got our cabinet, we've got our false front, we've got our drawer, we've got our top. Now all we have to do is 2 things. We have to apply a finish, and we have to then put on the hardware, which we'll do at the end. It'll be fine. It's a lot of different ways that you can finish this. You could put shellac over everything, but if you put shellac over everything, you kind of don't want to do that for the top because the top's going to get a lot of abuse. So I try to keep things similar. So you could just put polyurethane on everything. So if you did shellac here, you'd want to do polyurethane here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Waterlocks, which is a spar varnish, which is kind of like a marine type finish. And I'll be able to just wipe on 2-3 coats over everything. And it's very strong, very protective, and also very beautiful. So that's what I'm going to do. You finish it the way you want to. All right? Yeah, thanks for building with me. So sometimes I will use shellac on the base of everything and then use polyurethane on the top. So like the drawer could be shellacked. But this piece is kind of gonna get a little bit of a beating, and I know that. And so I'm using Waterlocks. Now Waterlocks, as I said before, is a spar varnish. So it's like a marine varnish. One of the nice things about using Waterlocks is that it's self-leveling. So I just put these coats on. So when I put the first coat on, it sucked up a lot of the finish. Now this is maple, and well, this is poplar, but everything else is maple. And those type of woods are like very thirsty, and they will suck all of this stuff up. But the maple, and even this poplar, it just takes, the first coat takes a whole bunch of stuff, just sucks it all in. But then beyond that, it's just adding a couple of top coats above it. So what I'll be able to do is I'll just be able to do like 2 or 3 coats on top of this everywhere, and then just buff it out and it'll be fine. It's going to be beautiful. And that's the thing about Waterlocks too, is that it is really, really pretty. So yeah, I don't have to get too crazy about this. It's super easy. I just brush it on. And what will happen is I'll let it soak up into the wood. And that's what it does. It just soaks up into those fibers. And then I'll wait 30, 45 minutes, something like that. And I'll take a cotton cloth and then just rub everything down and make sure that I get all of the drips and all that stuff out of the way. And that's it. It's super easy. It's such an easy finish to use. I love it. I got the drawer plies installed. There we go. Look at that. That's nice, right? Okay, here's a little trick I like to use. So I have my false front, right? So we have this drawer, and I need to put a face on it. But I want it to look perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of double-sided tape on both ends, get this thing all lined up, and then I'll install the handle, the pull, and then I'll install the screws in the back to secure it in place. But this way I can make sure it looks nice and perfect. So that's my little trick. I love it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting, maybe learned a couple of things along the way, and I hope that you have a good time building something similar for your home as well. I'm also one of the contributors to Woodcrafter, which is a app for woodworkers, and it has a lot of calculators in there that make things easier in the shop, so when you're focused on your project, you don't have to sit there and do all the math in your head at the same time. 4-foot calculator, half that, which you enter in, just divides whatever your measurement is in half, and it's got different conversion charts. It's got a wood species library. It's got a tool glossary. You can find that by going to crafter-app.com. And if you want to see more of my work, you can see that at my website, briansfinefurniture.com. Again, thanks for watching and happy woodworking.